We're looking for virality. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I think we're looking at Caitlin Clark's ad being one of the more viral things we've seen in a long time. Like if you look at the Instagram post on Nike, as far as I'm aware, the Instagram post.
So here's what just went down in women's basketball. Caitlin Clark just dropped a Nike commercial that's completely reshaping how we think about athlete marketing. This thing pulled in 30 million views on Instagram in just 48 hours. We're talking about engagement numbers that put her in the same conversation as World Series champions and Olympic gold medalists. For every other WNBA player watching this unfold, the message is crystal clear. The playing field just got a whole lot more uneven.
And the fact is that this is only in 2 days. It is the 27th. The reality is that you could be looking at upwards of 40-50 million views on this post.
Think about someone in your industry suddenly getting recognition that makes everyone else's achievements look invisible. Drop a comment if you felt that, because that's exactly what's happening right now. As WNBA players watch Caitlin Clark's Nike campaign reach audiences they've never even dreamed of accessing.
Caitlin Clark's very first reveal. Since Caitlin Clark's very first reveal, 22.4 million views. Between the Caitlin Clark logo reveal and this Caitlin Clark video, the only Instagram videos from Nike that have more views.
What we're witnessing with Clark's Nike campaign is something that transcends normal sports marketing. This commercial isn't just performing well for basketball content, it's competing with Nike's biggest cultural moments. The only Instagram videos on Nike's page that have outperformed this are a Dodgers World Series celebration with Shohei Ohtani and a Brazilian women's football post that hit 100 million views. Clark isn't fighting for attention with other basketball players anymore. She's operating in a completely different stratosphere where her competition is championship moments and Olympic achievements. The distance between her and other WNBA players isn't shrinking, it's expanding at an alarming rate.
Hey, Caitlin! Can you make it from there?
Hey, Caitlin, how about from here? Come on, guys.
Yeah, she can't make it from there.
No chance.
Caitlin, conmigo, what? You got it. I'm not.
2 days on the market and we're already looking at 30 million Instagram views. But Instagram is just one piece of this puzzle. When you add up YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and everywhere else this content is spreading, we're probably looking at something closer to 50 million total impressions across all platforms. Nike has launched viral campaigns before, but this is reaching people who don't normally consume basketball content at all. This is mainstream cultural penetration at a level that's almost unprecedented for women's sport.
From there!
From anywhere.
The numbers tell a story that has to be painful for Clark's competition. Nike's major multi-athlete campaign called Winning Isn't For Everyone peaked at 15 million views. Clark's shoe reveal has doubled that performance in half the time. Nike is investing more promotional energy in one player's signature shoe than they put behind campaigns featuring multiple superstars from different sports. That investment strategy reveals exactly where they see the market value, and the math doesn't lie. This isn't just Nike being exceptional at marketing, though they certainly know what they're doing. Nike produces tons of content, and most of it doesn't reach 30 million views in 2 days. The reason this particular ad is breaking through at this level is because Caitlin Clark has built an audience that simply doesn't exist for other WNBA players. The data supports this conclusion, whether people want to accept it or not. Here's the harsh reality that other WNBA players are confronting right now. Social media support doesn't automatically translate into real viewership. Plenty of WNBA players have passionate online fan bases that create content, defend them in comment sections, and build dedicated accounts around supporting them. But when games actually happen, those passionate fans often don't show up as viewers. The engagement stays online and doesn't convert to television ratings or arena attendance. Caitlin Clark represents the opposite phenomenon. Her online engagement directly corresponds to people actually watching basketball when she plays. When she's healthy and playing, ratings go up. When she's injured and unavailable, viewership drops measurably. People who follow her online actually convert to watching games, and that correlation is worth hundreds of millions to leagues and brand. This situation has to create some serious cognitive dissonance for other players. Clark was supposedly the player who only got attention because of media hype rather than actual basketball talent. She was the one who was supposedly overrated, getting preferential treatment she didn't earn. Yet she's the player whose fans actually watch basketball games instead of just talking about basketball online. Meanwhile, the players who were positioned as the real stars have social media followings that don't translate to television audiences or ticket sales. Team USA played in half-empty venues during recent international competitions. These were the best players in the world representing their country on the biggest possible stage, and people couldn't be bothered to attend. But when Caitlin Clark eventually makes the roster for major international competition, those same venues are going to be sold out, with people planning trips specifically to watch her play. There's an interesting question about whether Clark's cultural relevance has already peaked. 2024 was probably her highest point in terms of being everywhere in mainstream conversation, but here's what should terrify her competition. Even if 2024 represented her absolute peak of cultural relevance, her current level of mainstream appeal is still higher than any other women's basketball player has ever achieved. She could decline significantly from where she was and still be the biggest star in women's basketball by a massive margin. Other players aren't competing with 2024 peak Caitlin Clark. They're competing with 2025 supposedly declining Caitlin Clark, and she's still generating 30 million views on a shoe commercial in 2 days. Nike's investment in Clark also sends a clear message to everyone else in the league. Nike genuinely needs Caitlin Clark right now. The brand has been struggling against competitors, and they've identified Clark as someone who can actually move their business metrics. They're not making this level of investment in other women's basketball players. The logo they gave Paige Bueckers is getting called the trash can logo online. The difference in how Nike is treating Clark versus other women's basketball stars is obvious and public, and it has to make other players wonder what they're doing wrong. Other WNBA players are out here grinding on social media, building personal brands, trying to engage fans, posting consistently, showing personality and vulnerability online. Then Caitlin Clark drops one commercial and gets more engagement in 48 hours than most of them accumulate in an entire year. That has to be demoralizing in a way that makes you question whether you'll ever be able to compete for that level of attention and commercial success. Women's sports stars are supposed to have an advantage over male athletes when it comes to social media engagement. They're typically more active on platforms like Instagram and TikTok, more accessible to fans, more willing to show personality online. That accessibility is supposed to be what sets them apart and helps them build dedicated followings. But Caitlin Clark isn't particularly active on social media compared to her peers, and she's still destroying everyone in terms of engagement numbers. Her advantage isn't online presence, it's on-court performance. People want to watch her play basketball, and that interest then converts to engagement with any content related to her. This viral ad launch also raises the stakes considerably for the actual shoe release in spring 2026. Nike has set expectations incredibly high with this level of promotion. If this shoe doesn't deliver massive commercial results after this campaign, it'll be considered a disappointment even if it sells well by normal standards. But if it does deliver, if it sells out immediately and generates the 9-figure revenue some analysts are predicting, we're looking at a fundamental shift in how women's sports endorsements work. Other WNBA players have signature shoes that are quality products serving players well, but none of them launched with this kind of cultural impact. None of them had campaigns featuring Travis Kelce, Jason Kelce, and Travis Scott. None of them got 30 million Instagram views in their first 2 days. The gap between Clark's launch and everyone else's is so massive that it's creating a tier system where she operates in a category completely by herself. The economics of this situation are reshaping the entire WNBA landscape. Clark generated 27% of the league's total economic impact in 2024 while playing only 13 games due to injury. One player created more than a quarter of the entire league's economic value while missing significant time with health issues. That's unprecedented individual leverage in a team sport. Now she's launching a signature shoe expected to generate 9-figure revenue streams. The wealth gap between Clark and other WNBA players is about to expand dramatically, and that creates real tension within the league's structure. Players are supposed to be working together on collective bargaining agreements and salary increases that benefit everyone. But when one player is making generational wealth from endorsement deals while others are fighting for salary increases of a few $1,000s, maintaining solidarity becomes much more complicated. Clark's individual success is obviously great for her personally, but it exposes just how far behind everyone else is in terms of marketability and earning potential. The international expansion component adds another layer that other players haven't accessed. Clark mentioned plans to visit China to inspire young athletes there. Nike is positioning her as a global ambassador for women's basketball, not just a domestic star. International recognition and appeal opens up revenue streams and opportunities that simply don't exist if you're only known within the United States. Clark is building a global brand while her rivals are still working on national recognition. What's probably most frustrating for other players is that Clark isn't even trying to outshine everyone else. She's not being calculated about stealing spotlight or strategically undermining competitors. She's just playing basketball and doing endorsement deals, and the natural market response is that she's lapping everyone in visibility and commercial success. This isn't manufactured drama or intentional rivalry. It's just the market responding to what it values, and the market has decided it values Caitlin Clark more than any other women's basketball player by an enormous margin. The messaging in this ad about shooting from anywhere perfectly captures Clark's broader appeal. It's not just about making long shots on a basketball court, it's about coming from anywhere, a driveway in Iowa, a small market, outside traditional basketball pipelines, and still reaching the highest levels. That aspirational messaging resonates with people in ways that generic motivational content about working hard or being great simply doesn't. Nike absolutely nailed the branding, and it's gonna translate directly into shoe sales. Looking at engagement numbers compared to other major Nike content makes it clear this isn't just performing well, this is a complete outlier. Most Nike content doesn't reach these numbers. Even posts featuring multiple superstars from different sports don't achieve this level of engagement this quickly. This ad is competing with major cultural moments rather than normal athletic endorsement content, and that's what happens when someone transcends their sport to become a genuine mainstream cultural figure. The timing of everything is perfect for Nike and absolutely brutal for everyone else. The 2026 WNBA season is when Clark will presumably be fully healthy and dominating games again. The shoe launches in spring 2026, right as the new season begins. Nike will have maximum visibility for the product during the period when interest in women's basketball reaches its annual peak. Other players will be competing for attention during a season where the entire marketing landscape is dominated by Caitlin Clark and her signature shoe rollout. Good luck securing your own endorsements and sponsorships when all available attention is being consumed by the Clark shoe launch. Caitlin Clark's Nike ad reaching 30 million views in 48 hours isn't just successful marketing, it's definitive proof that the gap between her and every other WNBA player in terms of marketability is massive and still growing. Other players simply cannot compete with these engagement numbers, and they're watching their own relevance diminish in real time.